So, welcome, Masters. We'll continue our journey on this topic of nutrition, and specifically, we are talking about insulin resistance. Um, it is directly linked with diabetic condition that many of us have either experienced or seen in the family or friends, someone close to us. This is something which used to be, kind of old age thing, but now so common even in youth, which is really shocking and surprising. But again, it's happening at a faster rate than we would like it to be. And the solution truly is in our hand. It's easy for us to manage this if we really want. So the question is, what can we do, to really improve our situation? So we'll continue understanding first what it is. Once we understand, then it's easy to, do something about it. So we have talked about uh, how it functions, what happens in the body that, we end up with insulin resistance. So we will continue, and just to bring that point, refresh certain things. We were talking about calories, diet, what you eat, and also when you eat. So example, you will have different, perception, different ways these things are explained, whether you go in Ayurveda, whether you go in any other, our Indian text, which is, thousands of years old, whether we talk about uh, Chinese or Egyptian again, or, any civilization which is thousands of years old, they have talked about certain things, not specifically, say, diabetic condition, but in general, how to live life. All we have to do is go back to that wisdom. So Dr. Jason Fung, he's one person who has done extensive work on this. He happens to be from Toronto. Uh, and the reason I'm mentioning his name is because, and we will see certain things we'll cover today, that how, being a doctor, he got into this, that, okay, what can I do without medicine? And that's the key thing. So a lot of research has been done in 2013. If we see, they took two groups, and they were, you know, trying to research on overweight women, random trial. And the difference they wanted to see, keeping the calories same, in this case, 1400 calories per day. One group had a heavy breakfast and another one had a heavy dinner. So timing was the only difference. Now, the group that had heavy breakfast, they lost far more weight than the dinner group. Same calories per day. But the one had it, all those calories during breakfast, lost more weight than the group who had the same calories in dinner. Both cases, insulin goes up. You consume food, insulin will go up. So the response, roughly 25 to 50% is greater in the evening. So the timing does matter. And that's why they say, your dinner should be the lightest. If you're having your breakfast, lunch, and dinner should be the lightest. Why? Because you eat and then you sleep. Your body during sleep is trying to detox. If you give lots of work at that time, so the first body has to digest. You are not moving, you are resting. So that adds to the load to the body. So you see, it's not just calories. People say, oh, I'll cut down my calories. But if you have it all or majority of your calories in the evening time, that you will have a different result than someone who's having it early in the day. So everything needs to be understood, not only what you are eating, how much, when, and how you are eating. Now, coming back to Dr. Jason Fung, he clearly mentions that nutrition is not a topic covered extensively in medical schools. I mean, we may have had a feeling, but he clearly states that he's a doctor and he says most schools, and as I mentioned, he's from Toronto, so University of Toronto is where he spent, his medical studies time and all those things. Bare minimum time of teaching nutrition, just handful of lectures as per him. And then virtually no teaching for the rest of the medical school. You go through internship, you go through residency, you go through fellowship. So roughly 9 years of formal education and maybe 4 hours lectures on nutrition. So you can imagine 9 years if you are given only 4 hours on nutrition. That means when you are doing your medical studies, you are not taught. So unless you have your own experience or wisdom or information, this is not taught. So you see, this topic certainly is underrepresented. Now, what happens when you talk about nutrition is, of course, what we just talked about, how much, when, how, and all those things. But one very big factor comes as fasting. The moment we say fasting, we think it is painful. It is a punishment. It is done forcefully. But this is the natural way. You can say since, millions of years, the humans have evolved. It's been part of us. Now we do it thinking that, okay, we have to do fasting. But before, that's how we have evolved. Why? Because now you have refrigerator, now you have food available, fast food and all kind of options that you can practically eat any hour of the day. If you go thousands and tens of thousands of years ago when, we were relying on hunting, would hunt only in the daytime. So maybe you would eat only once a day. Not like now, every 2-3 hours we are, crunching, we are eating, snacking, whatever we call it. So when you eat, I just call it discipline, right? If you maintain discipline in your diet with respect to timing, quantity, and everything, you will see a huge difference. What it does, it will improve your insulin situation in the body, means it will maintain or it will properly regulate. And not only the insulin part, there is another thing which happens, which is your marker for inflammation. It's called, it's like when you're doing fasting, so not only insulin result will come good, but your high sensitivity, the C-reactive protein, which is a key marker for your inflammation, also comes normal or optimum. So we have heard, we have seen, people measuring blood sugar. So common. Have you heard anyone going for an insulin test? Type 2 diabetic patients, the biggest issue is this body has developed insulin resistance, and we are measuring the sugar. They are connected, but not the same. As we have seen in the previous session, that your body has resistance means the level of insulin is going higher and higher, yet your body is not able to deal with the sugar you have. Whereas type 1, genuinely your body is not able to produce insulin, and hence when you take insulin shots or, when you are given external source, which is medicine, body says, wow, now I can deal with it. So that's a different situation. But type 2, primarily you are having insulin resistance, you have high level of insulin, and yet you're not able to manage your sugar. So you keep measuring your sugar and you keep pumping more and more insulin to a level where you have so much excess that it goes against you. But we don't check insulin level, we only check sugar level. And if sugar is high, what do we say? More insulin. Though there is a test like insulin C peptide test. There are different ways, but yes. But generally, look around, like even if you go for annual checkup, anybody ever said you do this? No. This is the most important thing to keep a track on, because this is what gets you into pre-diabetic condition. If your insulin level is optimum, you are not even pre, forget about diabetic. So what is more important? Become diabetic patient or become pre-diabetic and then check sugar, which is again not the best. If you maintain your right insulin level, you are sure that you are not even in pre, and not even in pre means you will not have diabetic. Other way, if you already have diabetic condition, you can reverse. And again, what will be not the sugar, but the insulin level in your body will tell you, are you reversing, how slow, how fast, and how stable. And that is the most important thing. Because what happens when you are given more and more insulin, you will gain weight. The patient gain weights, and then what happens? The type 2 diabetic condition get worse. The body will demand more insulin. The more insulin, again, more weight gain. More weight gain, more diabetic situation means it will get worse. And you get stuck in this vicious cycle. And you don't know how to come out of it. So it's like fighting the fire with gasoline, not with water. If you're fighting the fire with gasoline, it's a lost battle. How to fix this situation, how to come out of it, in one word, in one simple way, centuries or thousands of years old of proven thing is fasting. Fasting could be of many different length, ways you can do it. So what will happen during fasting? You are reducing the food intake for certain hours of the day. What will happen when you are not eating? There is no need of insulin. When there is no need of insulin means your insulin level in the body will go down. Because when you eat, doesn't matter you are eating carbohydrate, protein, or fat, you are triggering insulin production. Why insulin? Because insulin does two major things. First, it will allow the body to immediately use food energy, the glucose or sugar, what we call it. It's like a lock and key scenario. Your cells, you have trillions of cells in the whole body, whether it's muscle cell, neurons, heart, bone, skin. The cell need to function. Function means energy. Energy is coming from glucose. So when you're eating, the energy can be readily available. So insulin is the key to that lock. You open the door, sugar can get inside the cell. If your food has protein, it will be broken down into amino acids. Amino acids will be used in building blocks because every cell is made out of protein. Protein actually gets converted into amino acid and then you're part of the cell. But the excess protein needs to be handled too. What the body does, turns it into glucose. Fats, they are absorbed directly. So they will have effect, but very minimum on insulin thing. So what is the second job for insulin? Store energy, excess energy. So either liver will store these excess, you will have glucose, they will convert it into glycogen and then stored in the liver. But there is a limit how much liver can store. Once this limit is reached, then what? The body will convert this extra glucose or energy into fat. And the problem is there is no higher or upper limit that how much fat can be created. You may have heard about fatty liver condition. What is fatty liver? Same thing. Liver is storing more and more glucose. Of course, a limit is reached, and now what's happening? Sometimes they call non-alcoholic fatty liver condition. That means it is not happening because of alcohol. From your regular food, our eating habit is such, lots and lots of this energy in glucose form is being stored. If that stage is reached, it will convert it into fat, and hence you get fatty liver. So what happens when you fast? Fast means for certain period you're not eating, but body is functioning. Your heart, your lungs, your kidney, your brain, organs are working. They need energy. So they will now say, lung will say, hey, liver, I need to work. I need to process, your breathing and I'm doing all the functions. Give me some energy. So what will liver do? Okay, here you go. Some part of my stored glucose. I'm releasing it to you. Kidneys, I give you some. Heart, I give you some. So you are utilizing this excess energy which is stored in the liver. And when we complete that stored sugar, then what happens? Now we go to fat. So what's happening at when you're stop eating means your fasting time, your insulin levels are coming down because you're not eating. Body doesn't need to produce insulin. And at the same time, your stored energy is being utilized now. It's like battery. Simple as that. You have a battery, backup battery. When you need, you plug it in, your phone can be charged. So that stored energy, when we are utilizing, then the cycle continues. Okay, body can produce more when you're eating and store. But if you are storing but not using it, now there is a problem. How much body can store? So then you get fat. And fat is not just around liver. Fat goes around all the organs. And then it comes around your tummy and physically you can see. So there are two situations. One that you cannot see, which is internal between all the organs. That's very dangerous. And the one that you can see, whether it's your tummy and physical body, because you can see, at least you think about it that you need to do something about it. But that you cannot see between the organs, actually, that's not good for our health. So there are only two states when it comes to insulin. You are either into the fed or the eating or feeding state, or you are in the fasting mode. That means low insulin or no insulin, depending on how long the fast is. So if eating and fasting can be balanced, no net weight gain if you're balancing it. But when we are not balancing it, our eating pattern is not good. Now there's a problem. So let's understand like what really happens, because there is one area that I have come across, which is the term autophagy. And autophagy, people keep saying, oh yeah, autophagy means fasting, you don't eat, and then the body works itself out, it will cleanse, it will clean up. Yes, it does, but it requires longer fast. Autophagy is not that you don't eat for 4 hours and you say my body is doing autophagy. Cleansing, yes, of course, the body is doing. But for full-on autophagy to start, you have to do long-term fasting, which is 3 days. And if you recall, it was so common, Ekadashi, Amavasya, and there were particular time of the year when everybody used to fast because fasting was a way of life. It was not something, as a punishment or something. In India, it was so common. You have Navratri, you have fasting, and just in Hindu or any specific religion, if you see, every religion has one way or the other fasting included as a way of life. Any religion you pick, somewhere or the other, they have introduced that. So you see, it is proven, nothing that science has come up in the last 50 or 100 years. No. So how does it work? When you are feeding, the blood sugar rises as we absorb the incoming food. Excess glucose is stored glycogen in liver and then converted into fat. Then what happens between 6 to 24 hours after begin fasting? That means if you are doing, say, intermittent fasting, you don't eat anything for, say, 14 hours or 12 hours or 16 hours, whatever works for you, and you eat everything in, say, 8 or 10 hours. So this point, what happens? The blood sugar and the insulin level begins to fall because blood sugar is being utilized. Liver will break the glycogen and liver will keep sending the energy to the organs for their regular working. So roughly, whatever you have stored glycogen will last for 24 to 36 hours, means day and a half. What is the next stage? From 1 to 2 days, if you do the fasting, means 1 complete day to 2 complete days. Now the glycogen, whatever the mean sugar the liver had, is finished. But you need more glucose. So what will liver do? Liver will be making new glucose. From where? Glucose level is falling. So liver will take from amino acids. Amino acid came from protein. So what happens when you do 2 to 3 days fasting? So you have consumed your normal sugar level glucose. You're using your excess amino acids. Now, when you do 2 to 3 days, what happens? Now you're using your fat. Body has stored for a rainy day that, hey, I may need energy when there is no food. I will use fat. So when you do 2 to 3 days, now the body is using fat. It's breaking it down. Again, it came from sugar and it going back to sugar, or in a way, glucose, or in a way, energy. In simple terms. And as we go from 3 to 4 days kind of situation, this is where you may have heard about the term ketones, ketosis. Simple term, fatty acids are used directly for energy. In nature, when you see, like if you see the bear, or whether it's polar bear or regular our bear, I mean, the bear will eat berries before the winter and they gain weight because in winter they will not be eating, they will be in hibernation. So they gain weight. How? Fat. And then that fat is utilized throughout the winter for them to survive. Same mechanism. If you do longer fast, like, week long, after 5 days or more, now it impacts your growth hormone, and it's a high level. It's a benefit that you get. Fatty acids being used, your body will be maintained well. High level of growth hormone will be maintained. Blood glucose is absolutely fantastic because all the excess, has been utilized. So as you go from 1 day to 2 days, 3, 4, 5, you see the improvement rate improves. However, be mindful. Don't just jump and say, I will do 3 days fasting or 5 days fasting. No, you have to be careful, learn properly, do under someone's guidance. 1 day, okay, more than 1 day, you should do under someone's guidance. Be mindful of your existing health condition. If you're a diabetic, be careful. Any other issue, be careful. Not just, okay, it is so good, let me just jump into it. Learn and then do it. We will talk about it in the coming sessions, but breaking the fast is more important than getting into it. Getting into it is easy. Okay, after this time, I start fasting means stop eating. The critical thing is not to start, it is to end or break the fast. When you lower your insulin level because of fasting, what happens? Your excess salt and water also goes down. Why? Because insulin is causing retention of excess salt and water in kidneys. So again, a lot of benefits. Why? Because high insulin is causing a lot of problem in the body. So all those, your kidneys, your heart, your systems will be so happy. One thing people think that, oh, if I'm doing 3 days fasting or 5-day fasting, my electrolyte balance will go away or there will be an imbalance in the electrolyte. But the body mechanism is such that it balances even during fasting. There have been studies of supervised, again, I'm saying supervised fast with only water and vitamins lasting up to 117 days. And there were no change of electrolytes. Of course, that's why it's advised people that, okay, you may take vitamins as a supplement. Adrenaline, metabolism, everything gets impacted here. People think, oh, I'll be tired when I do, such long fasting or a couple of days or even more. In fact, the result comes quite the opposite. People feel more energized, more revitalized. Why it happens? Because when you keep eating every 2 hours and what we are telling our body, keep working, keep working, keep working, it creates lethargy. However, when you are again vitalized, you have consumed all the excess sugar and everything, now your body is much happier. Like we were talking about the HGH or human growth hormone, pituitary gland is creating it. When the level goes down, typically you will see people will have much higher body fat, lean muscle mass, and decreased bone density, which is not good. So this is a signal that you have some issues in the body. So what happens when you do long-term fasting? The level goes up of growth hormone, which is a very good thing. So it's not that longer term fasting is creating issues in the body. In fact, it is fixing all the issues in the body. Because when you keep eating, you are suppressing this secretion of growth hormone. And we think eating is good, more the merrier, and we keep eating. And then we say, oh no, after lunch, yeah, 2 hours, I just had a cookie or I had a little bit of this. Well, doesn't matter, little bit or how much. You had something, you had snack. That means you have added load for insulin for the body and for all the systems. And if overeating can suppress this growth hormone levels by up to 80%, imagine when you keep snacking every 2 hours, what you are doing. You are harming yourself. And then we say, I'm falling sick all the time, my immune system is weak. Obviously, because we overeat, and especially not just the quantity, but the frequency. So the best way, the simplest way is fasting. In 5-day fasting, in one of the studies, they saw the growth hormone was doubled. So what happens? Usually what happens? There will be a spike of growth hormone. But during fasting, throughout, which is even better. They have tested different religious, guidelines and all for different type of fasting, and they have seen this one across the board that how the level goes up. Five-fold increase in a response of a 2-day fast. So you can only imagine how much positively your fasting is contributing to your health. Healthy eating is important, of course, because nowadays what's the problem? You have all kind of sugary thing, corn syrup, high fructose, artificial flavors, and especially the zero-calorie sweetness, very harmful. All kind of refined product, refined grain, refined all kinds of things, sugar, salt, everything. Because ultimately it doesn't matter what you eat, it's either carbohydrate, proteins, or fats. It's an assumption or it's a common understanding that all fats are same, all carbohydrate are same, or all protein are same. But that's not true. If you have, say, green salad, 100 calories, you think the fattening effect of that is same as 100 calories out of a chocolate chip? Both are 100 calories. No. So important thing is to avoid as much as possible anything refined, whether it's refined flour, corn products, anything which is highly processed, like typically vegetable oils, corn, sunflower, canola, all those things, highly processed. These have high level of omega-6 fats, not good. So what can you do to support your fasting? Eat unprocessed food as much as possible, whole food. Avoid sugar. I'm not saying zero, avoid as much as possible. Avoid refined grains, refined sugar, refined salt. Your diet should be high in natural fat. Like if you're eating avocado, right? It's a fruit, but it's more of a very good source of natural fat and all other kind of enzymes, minerals. So what it means is enjoy those natural things. And when you do balanced diet with fasting, that is the best for your body. Yes, you can have water, tea, coffee, but again, don't add milk or sugar and all those things because then it is no more neutral. Then, of course, it becomes sugary, then insulin will kick in. And one more thing, people think, oh, fasting means I'll be tired, or fasting means I will lose my muscles. No, fasting means you will have more energy. People exercise, people maintain their normal lifestyle in fasting. It's not like fasting means I have to just sit and sleep. And fasting doesn't mean you'll be losing muscles, you'll be losing fat. Losing muscle is an extreme case when you have lost all the fats and all means it has come to a threshold level. So don't think you're losing muscles, you're only losing fats, either fats in between the organs, which you cannot see, which is beautiful, or the one that you can see, like, around the physical body. Even in the Western world, like Benjamin Franklin, I mean, we may have heard this name, founding father in US, in 1700, he has said the best of the medicine is resting and fasting. Ayurveda, thousands of years talking about fasting. So, masters, fasting is not something, or intermittent fasting, the term that we use is something new, something just came up. This has been with us for a long time. Only thing is we have forgotten. Like, we are missing that, okay, the advantages and how to, because of our lifestyle. So next session, we'll continue the same topic of fasting so that we can understand how simply we can come out of it, not just this insulin issue or diabetic issue, any health condition.